So welcome everyone to PodCats. Today we have with us here today is the head coach of the women's soccer team here at Culver Stockton College, Coach Tyler Tomlinson. Coach, how you doing with us today?
I'm doing pretty good, Carter. Excited to get my first PodCats of the year going.
Absolutely, and obviously consistent one as our advisor for this class. So kind of starting off the bat, with your overall record, where do you feel that kind of slates you so far into the year? You're looking at 6-3 overall, 2-2 in the conference. What do you feel about that record so far?
I mean, I think it's pretty reflective of how we've played and probably what we've earned so far. It's not something where it's like, oh man, we're 6-3, but we should be 9-0 or something like that, or we should be 0-9. I think it's reflective of the product that we've put out on the field so far. And 2-2 in conference, we've played 3 of the top 4 teams in conference, national rankings wise, of our first 4 games. And of those results, we won 2 of those games and we lost the other 2 games by 1 goal each. So I'm pretty proud of how we've attacked our conference season, because I think that's shows really kind of the true identity of the team.
And talking about conference play and all, and you guys did have very tough games. I mean, the recent overtime loss to Benedictine on the road, and I mean, took them to overtime, wasn't able to kind of pull out that one. However, big 3-1 win over Baker as well. So what do you think is kind of the why were you guys able to win those two very difficult conference games then, in your mind?
Yeah, I think it's because of what we learned in those first 2 losses. We kind of talked about coming out of the game against Central Methodist, and they're ranked 8th in the nation, and then have to go on the road again to number 23 team in the nation. And being able to be right in those games and compete and have a chance to win ourselves. We kind of knew that that particular week kind of created a monster. Like they created a monster out of us. And we were able to take that into our next game against a team, Mount Mercy, who had a really great game plan against us. They did not make it easy for us, and it was a difficult challenge for us. It went into overtime, and I'm glad we came away with the 3 points for the win. But I think even having that game before this past weekend for homecoming when we beat Baker, I really feel like those games kind of created a monster, and we kind of know who we are now and know the level at which we can compete. And as long as we can reach that level each time, I think we'll have some success.
Absolutely. So as you kind of talked about, this is kind of the good spring roll into the rest of your season. Obviously, as October kind of starts up, that's when a lot of conference games are. So how's the rest of the conference looking, and what are your remaining games looking like? And are there any ones that you're kind of sticking out there as ones that, are big defining games this season?
Yeah, we've actually hit our halfway point for the entire season. So we talked about that, and that we know who we are now. So we're at the downhill side of things. But you're right, the downhill's filled with tough conference games, and in the Heart of America Athletic Conference for women's soccer, you can't ever roll the ball out and play poorly and expect to win. It's just not going to happen. So there aren't any really games that are going to stick out to me. The one that's on my radar right now is Evangel. We don't have a midweek game this week, which I think is good for us. We can have a little rest and recovery going into that game on Saturday. But Evangel's had our number, a couple of years in a row now, and they've put out some really successful teams. And so we know going on the road and playing against them, and they're very well coached by a friend of mine, Bruce Deaton. And I think that he'll always have his team prepared. And so we'll need to make sure we have the right mindset to play Evangel. After that is all conference games, Carter, except for one, we do have one non-conference game in maybe 2 or 3 weeks from now. We're going to go to Iowa Wesleyan. They have come back to the NAIA, from D3. And so it's good to kind of welcome them back to the NAIA and that they're close to us. So that helps as far as having another team, in our division that makes the road trips a little smaller or shorter.
Absolutely. And I know like those long road trips can usually affect kind of the way that some teams do play on the road. And maybe there is something to be said about how other teams play here as well. I mean, you guys are 5-0 here at Ellison Polton Stadium. So what do you think kind of leads to this current winning streak that you guys have at home?
Well, number one, we have a really good fan base. We have a lot of great support at our home games, more than we've had in years past. And from different angles, we have the Teaks and the Blue Crew behind us, and then we got the fraternity guys across from us that are always getting involved in the games. But I think our attendance has been up this year, and I'm glad that we're performing well in front of bigger crowds. Our new playing surface has really been adopted well by our players. They really enjoy playing on the new turf, and really are comfortable calling it home. So yeah, to know that almost all of our wins have come at home and all of our losses have come on the road. We do have to change that at some point, Carter, at least on the road side. So hopefully we get that monkey off our back for conference against Evangel and play there. But no, I'm very appreciative of our faculty and staff as well. Not only just our students who are great, but we've had I get emails and texts from people at the college all the time that we're watching or watching the streams and congratulating us. So I really like the support that we're getting, and we like the environment at Ellison Polton for sure.
Absolutely. And one other question before we kind of get into kind of the later questions. So I've seen a lot of your work on Twitter and whatnot, and seeing the why not us stuff. So can you kind of explain the process kind of behind that mentality and, how you're using that to attack this year?
Yeah. So, each year our senior group comes up with their own theme, and it's the identity that they want that particular season to be about. And this particular senior group, they kind of looked at the team we have and the talent that we had coming in, and had that realization that we're a pretty good team, and we have to have that playoff mentality every time we do something. And that what we've done with that is we've basically come up with a mantra: why not us? And that emphasis being on the not, like why not us? And then we've taken that not and gone a little farther in some of our team bonding and whatnot. That not can be something that's really brought things together, and how we can be brought together as a group. And so it's got kind of a double meaning there of why not us, as far as like we can do it. Anybody can make a run in the playoffs and make a run for a national tournament, and we think we have the people and players and talent to do that this year. But on the other side of it is, we have to do it together. We have to be as strong as that, that knot is that holds two things together. And so the girls put a lot of thought into that. And that's why you're seeing it as kind of a hashtag for us, or a mantra, and it's on their T-shirts and things like that they wear around. So we're pretty proud of that, and we've adopted it. And I think when you have a team that can buy into the same message and understand its purpose and consistency, branding can be important to a team. And I think for us, that's been our mantra, is why not us? And I believed in it too. And I ask myself that question all the time. I guess we're posing it more of a statement, but this is a team that thinks they can make a run, and we support that.
And we'd love to see a great run. And, talking about ropes and whatnot, the cords that make up a rope are very important. And some very important chords I've kind of found in your guys' rope. Two names that come off right off the bat: Jody Ellis and Trinity Register. Can you tell us a little bit about both of them and how they've both contributed to your team this season?
Yeah, one more offensive minded than the other, obviously are defensive minded, but I'll start with Jody. Jody's a very special player. I come to practice every day, and I'm grateful that she's there, because I think every time she steps on the field, she brings a mentality that really isn't matched by anybody that we play against. She wants to win. She's competitive. She's driven. She's focused. And it's never turned off, Carter. She's just one of those special players. We really challenged her the last couple of years that, you're going to have to score some more goals, and she's always been a facilitator. She's right now number 2 all time in career assists for Culver Stockton history. We're trying to get her that number 1 spot. Having a COVID year and a limited amount of games really hurt her chances there, but she's still making a run at it, even, regardless of that. But this year she's turned the corner a little bit and is getting more into the scoring column, and that's really been helpful for us. And she's not the most vocal kid, but sometimes leaders lead by example, and I think she's a really perfect example of someone that a lot of our other players hopefully will aspire to be. Trinity's got a pretty awesome story. She's a junior now. Before the season, she had never played in a first-team game. She sat behind some pretty good goalies in her time. One of them was an All-American, and then the player that followed her started the year after, Trinity's sophomore year. And so we play games in the spring. Trinity got an opportunity this past spring, basically being our only goalie. And it's one of those things where she had a moment and she seized the moment. When spring was over, the coaching staff talked about it, and we said, we trust Trinity to go in to these games to start the fall, and then we'll kind of see how it goes from there. Well, she's only gotten better, and we're really grateful that one, she's put in the work and listened and applied and improved in 3 years, and that's not easy for someone that doesn't ever play in a game. Like, it's hard for players to realize like what a goalie does, right? You can't just throw 4 goalies out there, like forwards or mids. So goalie has to be patient and wait their turn. And we've just been blessed at our program to have good development with our goalies and positive turnover. When one goalie leaves, the next goalie's ready. So, I think it does speak very well to our program as well, that we're developing these great kids, these good goalies. And, she's had some saves this year that, I don't know how she makes them. You might have seen a couple.
Yeah, I've definitely called a couple, and just seeing the way that she's willing to basically be physical out there on the turf is just very interesting to see, like how she just commands respect just standing in goal. It's kind of like not necessarily like the quarterback of the defense, but definitely someone that has the capabilities to bring a lot to this team, and obviously she has. And Jody Ellis continuously just leads the nation in corner kicks, as obvious as that can be, but it's definitely an important aspect. So another interesting thing as well that I wanted to ask you, who are some upcoming freshmen that if I was an opposing coach, I should probably definitely watch out for in the coming years? Because if you're bringing in girls like Trinity Register who won't play until their junior year and be this good, what else you got cooking in that pipeline there?
Yeah, I think, one of the players that stands out immediately to me is our center back, and her name is Savannah Stauffer. And I think the word is out. Like, you want to try to avoid her area if you're going to try to score on us. It reminds me of I think it was Troy Aikman talking about how Deion Sanders would go games where no one would throw the ball even to his side of the field. And I'm not saying Savannah's the next prime time, but I think she has already commanded some respect in the sense that it's tough to get by her. You can't get around her. She's tough. She's tiny, but she's very aggressive. And then offensively, she's a good decision maker, good passer. So she's got a lot of potential. We're actually starting in 2 freshmen. Our other freshman that starts is named Kimberly Williams. Kimmy's from Las Vegas, and Kimmy's one of those players that she's good enough to start as a freshman. But I also think we're only scratching the surface of how good she's going to be. So we're pretty excited about her development and where she's going to come in. And but then, yeah, we got a good freshman class. We have another goalkeeper who I think is good enough to start at any other college at our conference. Mackenzie Frizzell, she's from Canada. But right now, it's one of those situations you just mentioned, Carter. She's got a goalie in front of her that's playing really well, and we'll continue to develop those kids to the best we can. But we're excited about our freshman class in general. We're getting them a lot of games here with our reserve games to get them going. I know Anissa Prieto was getting some minutes. She did get hurt. We still really don't know what's going on with her injury, but she got in and scored a pretty big goal against Friends for her first career goal before she had to come out of the game. So we have some kids that are on the right path, and I really look forward to the next 3 years of developing those kids and seeing what they can bring in the pipeline.
It's going to be more fun. I won't be here for those years, but it'll definitely be fun to watch via the Wildcat Network. So, I don't want you to, sound off like Jim Moore right here and, being upset, but, we've already kind of talked about it, but the playoffs, do you guys feel that you have a really good chance at making them this year?
We're talking about playoffs? Yeah, I think that was part of the Why Not Us mantra, is that this team agreed that everything they're going to do this year is going to be with a playoff mentality, right? How they prepare, how they practice, how they play, how they study game film. Everything was going to be the playoff mentality. 2 years ago, we were in 6th place, which was definitely a playoff team going into the last game, and we lost in the last 12 seconds, and it dropped us to 9th. And that hurt. That really hurt the girls. And they thought they were good enough to make the playoffs, and to get bumped out at the last second was hurtful. And last year, last year was last year. It was a COVID year. I feel like I managed games and situations and quarantines more than I got to coach soccer. And so that's not always a fair shake of how things went either. So, using both of those things and trying to bury those things as being behind us, we do feel like we're a playoff team, and we do feel we have what it takes to get there this year. And we feel like we've started off on the right foot to get us back into the playoffs and to make some noise and make a run for the national tournament.
So one last thing before we go, what's at the end of the rope? What's the one thing that you guys would like to do this season?
Yeah, we've done everything but make the national tournament. We've been nationally ranked. We've been to the conference championship game. We've been to the playoffs, right? And so the next light at the end of the tunnel would be the national tournament. And I'm a very open coach, and like last year, I probably would have told you that might not have been in the cards for that group of players. And our goal is just to make the playoffs and improve the program. But this year, the honest coach in me tells you I think we can make a run at the national tournament. I think we have a chance. So, we have to take care of business when we're supposed to, and that's something that our program's still improving and learning. And I think if we can take that next step and this group of players can be program changers, then that's definitely a possibility.
Why not us? Why not us, Coach?
Why not us?
Love to hear it. Thank you for joining me again. And for anyone listening, you can always check out more game breakdowns and live streams at cscwildcats.com. So thank you for your time today, Tyler.
Thanks, Carter.